Is there hope for worlds burning in an endless, galaxy-spanning war? Maybe the last survivors of the Northern Kingdom's shattered fleet know something. Or maybe they're just as clueless as the rest of us. Hell's already here. The mess hall of the Carnifex was a freaking circus. I was nursing a whiskey, watching off-duty officers party like there was no tomorrow. They were toasting their heroic victory over another world they'd crushed into submission. But this wasn't a vibe. It was a twisted, cynical kind of fun, like throwing a rager during a plague. Sanity was out the window, and madness was running the show. A group of officers was messing with some prisoners they'd dragged to the party. Not invited, mind you, more like threatened with a one-way trip out the airlock, no spacesuit. I've seen how this works. This brutal civil war, tearing thousands of worlds apart, had turned the space fleet into a moral dumpster fire. When civilization collapsed, the remnants of once mighty armadas went rogue. Their commanders? Drunk, pirating, and a long way from the honor they swore to uphold. The Carnifex was no exception. One officer stood up, wobbling with a glass in hand. I recognized him instantly. Admiral Ranbarn Kratpal VII, the ship's captain. The guy was hammered, but years of military training kept him from face-planting. Chairs scraped as everyone snapped to attention. Everyone except 4 prisoners, who just sat there, glaring with pure contempt. "Gentlemen," Ranbarn bellowed. "A toast." He paused for dramatic effect, soaking in the silence of his bootlicking crew. Then he went on. "This was a hell of a campaign. Weeks of fighting, losing some of our best. But we won. We won." I snorted, covering it with a fake cough. "Yeah, right. I'm proud we took Theta Forci," he roared. "A fortress world?" The enemy's heart is wide open now. The room erupted in drunken cheers. Nobody heard me mutter what I thought of the captain's little speech. Ranbarn waved a hand, all smug and gracious. "But let's give props to the ones who made this victory culminate something." He turned to the prisoners. "Your resistance was impressive. You held out longer than anyone. So I drink to you, for making my win that much sweeter. Asterisk in vitre, asterisk in vitre, asterisk." The officers roared, throwing up declare, const in vitre, an ancient battle cry. Nobody noticed the burning hatred in the prisoners' eyes. But I did. Ranbarn downed his drink and noticed the prisoners hadn't touched theirs. His eyes narrowed. "Too humble to toast yourselves, officers?" "Respectable. But I insist." I held my breath. Ranbarn might act like a clown, but he was a cruel son of a gun. One prisoner stood up. A young officer with fierce purple eyes locked gazes with Ranbarn's cold, shark-like stare. Then he spat in his glass and chucked it across the room. Glass shattered, and red liquor splattered like blood. I slammed my whiskey. "Bold move, kid. Stupid, but bold." The room went dead quiet. Ranbarn sighed, disappointed. "Wars turned pups like you into decent fighters. But you haven't learned to fear your betters. I'll teach you." He glanced my way, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Uwali, patch us through to the bridge." I flicked my wrist over the comm's holographic interface. The fancy mess hall vanished, replaced by the bridge's command center, with its massive viewport. Our projections floated through the room, ghost-like, not disturbing the crew. "Now, guests," Ranbarn said, "let me show you something." He nodded toward the void beyond the metaglass. A gas giant's orange crescent glowed, its rings chewed up by shadows. Theta Forci stared blindly into the dark with swirling storm eyes. But that wasn't the point. Wrecked hulks of enemy ships and platforms drifted, blooming with plasma flares. Orbital cities, now tombs for millions, wept frozen air. And our fleet was closing in on a tiny aquamarine planet. The young officer's face twisted. Ranbarn smirked. "Feeling less cocky, Captain Eltian? Just wait." He hailed the bridge. "Forward turret gunners, full combat readiness. Target. Theta Forci Parvis." "You bastard!" Eltian screamed, his cool shattering into raw hatred. "Don't you dare!" "I've thought it through," Ranbarn said, hands clasped behind his back, eyeing the planet like an executioner. "Target locked," the gunner reported. "Awaiting orders." Ranbarn winked at the prisoners. History forgets the losers. He took a deep breath and barked, "Fire!" Nothing happened at first. I froze, heart pounding, as torpedoes raced through the void. I was used to war, blood, mud, death, on the battlefield. This was no battle. This was an execution. The final minute ticked down for that doomed world. Then I saw it die. The little planet shuddered, then exploded into glowing fragments, raining molten gold into the gas giant's atmosphere, leaving scars like blackened sores. Billions of lives snuffed out in a snap. Just like that. The Carnifex twined, swooped toward the fresh debris field. Ranbarn watched the dying planet's core and scattering shards, silent gravestones flying into eternity. When he turned back, the party vibe was gone. His eyes held only the savage, broken cruelty of a man warped by endless war. I'd seen it before. "Enough theatrics," he said, waving at me. I cut the projection, snapping us back to the mess hall. "Guards!" Armored goons surrounded the prisoners. "Toss these 3 out the airlock. No suits," Ranbarn ordered, pointing at everyone but LTN. "Yuali, tell the navigators to chart a course for the Incremar cluster in the Basilisk's tail. Prep the troops. Time to finish these bastards." LTN let out a bitter laugh, his face twisted with madness. "You have no idea what you're messing with," he hissed. "You're gonna pay." Ranbarn shrugged. "Whatever." I slipped out quietly. The Carnifex was the only home I'd ever known, born and raised on its decks. But I got LTN. He'd just lost his world. No, that's a lie. I'd never understand. As I left, I caught Ranbarn, pouring another drink. "LTN, you drinking with me or what?" I just shook my head. Weeks later, we were closing in on the Basilisk's tail. Buried in work, I didn't have time to think about anything but war. It's all I'd ever known. Born in it, raised by it. Fighting, surviving, repeat. I didn't know anything else. I didn't waste brain cells on the war's origins, lost in the fog of centuries. Or the future. Would there even be one? Like baby spiders eating their way out of a cocoon, we devoured our ancient homeland long ago. A half-mythical place forgotten behind us. It never got to say goodbye to its backstabbing kids. We gained insane power but got hooked on conquest. Scattered across the stars like shards of a broken world, we were hunters, stalking the void. Predators. Scavengers. Now nearing the edge of known space, Ankremar's grim worlds, we had no clue what was next, what horrors lurked beyond humanity's last outposts. Would Taiwei end up prey? Didn't matter. Every day's a step closer to death. I checked my gear again. Below us, another world bled under orbital bombardment. We'd taken most of the planet, but some pockets fought like hell. I had a hunch. Why? Waiting for the barrage to ease, my squad prepped for a drop into a hot zone, too important to just glass from orbit. Ranbarn's call, I guess. I packed extra flam plates for my immolator and tested my exosuit. The troops were drilled, fed, and ready. Briefings hammered into their skulls. Perfect. Time to fight. The teleporter's reactors roared. Reality wobbled. My head spun, and my gut churned like I'd eaten bad rations. Just hang on a sec. Fee tool. I hit the deck. Graceful as a drunk. The platform melted into the concrete. Some troopers' mag boots failed, ripping them off their spots. A few got flung onto the ramp's edge, burning alive in molten rock. It happens. Teleportation's a crapshoot. There's even a story about a guy whose junk swapped places with his nose after a jump. Not shocked. Our techs probably got plastered before calibrating the gear. No time to dwell. The enemy, pinned by heavy guns, would recover soon. I tracked the streaks of mass accelerator rounds tearing the sky. The worst of the barrage was over. Time to move. A beam of light crashed from the heavens, scorching the horizon. The air's scream knocked me flat. My suit's temp gauge squealed at 700 degrees, pushing the limit. Too damn close. I patched into the Carnifex. Artillery, you blind or just stupid? You're hitting us. Captain's orders, the gunner shot back. Enemy air fortress popped up 60 miles northeast with a swarm of drones. They'd have minced you in a minute. Ranbarn wouldn't like his favorite Masset turn to burger. I cursed him out. You aim this bat on the can? Laughter crackled through static. The jerk switched to open comms. Eradicator shots have a 12-mile margin of error. We nailed it from 1,500 miles up while moving, without toasting your sorry ass. Don't worry, we'll finish the job when you're back. Keep dreaming, dog, I snapped, cutting the line. I flipped off the invisible dreadnought. Freaking clowns. My chrono beeped. Showtime. Under drone cover. We advanced in small groups, spread wide. If hell's real, this was it. The ground was scorched and melted. Ruins jutted like broken teeth. Asphalt boiled into toxic seas. Molten glass wept from shattered windows. And bodies. Everywhere. Death's ugly faces, no filter. All different, all hideous. I scanned the battlefield. Same old mess. War's filth sticks to your boots, no matter where you march. Your food tastes like ash. Your air stinks of ozone and immolator burn. We hit the city. This was where the fighting got nastiest. Perfect spot for an ambush. Contact! A trooper yelled, raising his weapon. A blinding ray turned his head to red mist. Dozens of beams ripped through us, punching holes, severing limbs. Comms exploded with screams of pain and rage. I dove behind a mound, weapon ready, barking orders. My HUD was blank. No enemy signatures. Recon gone blind? Troopers fired wildly, dropping by the dozens. Then I saw it. A gray shadow peeling off a wall, blending into the chaos. A spider-like silhouette with beam cannons. It morphed into a snake and slithered into a breach. My blood ran cold. Polymorphs. Freaky tech hybrids of steel and flesh. The reason this world wouldn't break. A building crumbled nearby. Before the dust settled, a polymorph appeared, a 2-meter steel sphere. It screeched, rolling toward us, cloaked in green sparks. It plowed through, burning or crushing everyone in its path. I flipped my immolator to max and unloaded. A plasma bolt screamed, punching through the thing. It wailed, then blew itself apart. The fight was chaos. Polymorphs popped up everywhere, mowing us down. They blasted us with heavy weapons, trashed our vehicles, or tore us apart up close. We fought like demons. And died. One downed polymorph split into crescent blades, slicing troopers like deli meat. We were seconds from annihilation. In the madness, I nearly missed the next attack. A centipede-like polymorph, dripping blood, coiled toward me. Its faceted eyes glowed with alien hate. Jaws snapped, spitting a swarm of blue needles. Only reflexes and dumb luck saved me. I dove behind a crumbling wall that groaned under the hits. Cursing like a sailor, I fired. A white-hot spark shot from my immolator, igniting the beast in flames. It thrashed. Then I chucked a tibonium grenade. The blast bloomed black, and the thing crumbled to ash. The ground quaked. Ruins collapsed like card houses. The polymorphs vanished. The earth split with a roar, like something massive was clawing out. "Fall back!" I screamed. As we scrambled, cracks became chasms. Troopers and tanks plummeted, screaming. I leaped over gaping pits, watching squads get buried in slag and twisted metal. Others fell into smoking abysses. Comms drowned in panic and agony. The assault was done. Total disaster. Then, the unbelievable hit. Black smoke coiled into tentacles, snatching troopers into pits or crushing them like bugs. My heart pounded. Only sheer will kept me from losing it, but I was hanging by a thread. My comms screeched with static. Rand barn. Perfect timing. "Uwali, what's the mess down there?" I nearly laughed. "We're getting slaughtered, you idiot. Beam us up." His reply drowned in noise. A wail behind me made me spin. The ruins were gone. A spiral of black light shot skyward, shrieking like burning witches. "What the—" a pale sergeant stammered. Staring.coms erupted again. The Carnifex was screaming. Orders dissolved into wails of pain and terror. I froze as death cries hit a fever pitch. Whatever was happening up there, my brain couldn't process it. And I wasn't sure it ever would. Silence. Not even static. The trap had sprung. I watched our ships crash like flaming meteors, breaking apart beyond the horizon. We were alone on a world we'd conquered, tasting defeat. Somehow, this planet turned on us, breaking our spine. In its death throes, it left us stranded. Without a fleet, I was sure of it. We were a headless monster. The sun, a blurry smudge, glared through toxic smog, mocking us. We'd killed the future. I stumbled through rain, time a blur. From thousands, only dozens remained. How many other lost souls wandered this dead prison? We were exhausted, fending off polymorphs that hunted at night. Morale was gone. We had nothing left to fight for. The last defenders, in suicidal fury, left only rabid dogs to gut us after dark. Soot-flavored water, mud, and hunger were our new crew. Hunger was the worst. It shredded our bonds, replacing them with madness, fear, and despair. Just ash-tainted water and brutal sickness. Our army withered, scattering across the wastes. People wandered off, desperate to escape each other. I felt like we were the last of humanity, barely human anymore. Eyes dull, I limped nowhere, chewing rancid meat that tasted like death. My hands shook. My uniform was rags, boots worn through. I ditched my dead exosuit. Thirst burned. My gut twisted. Pain stabbing under my ribs. Fever cooked me from the inside, draining every ounce of strength. During the worst diarrhea, I couldn't even get my pants down in time. Charred trees clawed at ashen clouds. Nights grew longer, and I dreaded sleep, paranoid of being hunted. Polymorphs stalked us, waiting for dark to slaughter. But something else lurked in the shadows, something that turned our ships into drifting crypts, wiping out our branch of humanity's tree. Soon, I was alone. At dawn, I woke from a heavy sleep to find everyone gone. My comrades, my family, faded into the gray dusk, taking the last flicker of what a human looked like. Trapped in loneliness and oblivion, I was terrified to live without purpose. But what came in my dreams scared me more than death. I pulled the last flam plate from my pouch. Its tiny plasma heart pulsed in the metaglass. A soft orange glow, the only warmth in this cold, horrifying world. No more people. They were useless anyway. Except maybe I choked down the last meat, washing it with foul, stagnant water. Hunger or disease. Something would kill me soon. I kept eyeing my immolator. It'd be quick. The plasma would burn my nerves, then me, before pain could bloom. But why couldn't I do it? I wanted to believe it was my body's weakness, not my crumbling will. I tripped, face-planting in stinking mud. Worse than my blood-soaked, vomit-crusted rags. I staggered up. The gray sky tore open, revealing stars that sneered at me. I flipped them off and spat blood. "Enjoying the show?" I mumbled. "Don't worry. You'll die too. Screw it all." I didn't think they cared about a world drowning in its own filth. I had no clue that, far beyond this war-ravaged speck, everything alive was dying in the freezing dark. As I slipped into sleep, I didn't know I was about to learn the truth. I drifted like a ghost through twisted corridors, like empty veins. Slimy mold glistened under eerie light from portals. Another nightmare, courtesy of my screwed-up head. I neared a porthole and recoiled. Crimson-tinted blackness stared back. Dying stars, wrapped in hazy glows, spat fiery tendrils. A molten planet burned, scarred with oozing wounds. Dead ships floated everywhere, their rotting husks stinking of pain and decay. And I knew I was on one. Fear locked me up. Something alien stirred in the ship's depths, sensing me. It pulled me toward its source, and I realized where I was. Collapsed hangars, massive guns, once city killers, torn out. A gaping, melted hole where the bridge should have been. Corpses, hundreds, floated in crew quarters, mangled by explosive decompression. I passed living blocks, seeing horrors etched into the tomb of the Carnifex, once the Northern Kingdom's flagship. It was hell. Metal turned to flesh. Portholes oozed greasy slime. Vents hissed toxic fumes. Bodies were fused into doors and walls. Shadows flickered in distant corridors. Screams echoed, devoid of anything human. The dreadnought, built to terrify, had fallen to an unspeakable horror. Too insane even for a dream. I couldn't believe it. Denial's a weak shield, a ghostly voice whispered. I spun. Something moved in a dark corner. A wall rippled like mercury, then bulged toward me. With a wail of tortured souls, a face emerged. It was pure terror. A death mask, eaten by plague, breathing the chill of Tartarus. A clouded purple eye fixed on me. Recognition hit. Eltienne? The thing grinned, lipless. No names anymore. Nothing left. Just a dream. Maybe. It spat a glob of slime. But no smoke without fire. Right? A sound like bone on glass. Laughter. Your fault. You followed your captain through a suicidal slaughter to the galaxy's edge, blind to his real goal. I had nothing to say. The face rippled. First come bad rumors, then worse news. We hoped you'd pass us by, but no. Your savage greed woke this world's true masters, beings from beyond the cosmic horizon here eons ago. Our isolation was our burden. Now it's yours. Everyone's. A force dragged me into the purple eye's abyss. I tried to wake like any dreamer would. I couldn't. A storm of visions tore me apart. I fell to a dark planet, cloaked in black fire. A rotting world swarmed with demons. Flashes of hate, shadows of madness, and lies spun in a kaleidoscope of horror. Twisted towers of alien flesh stabbed at dying stars. I saw myself. A gaunt body in rags face down in a puddle. Scavengers closed in, drooling brown slime. Their fetid breath reeked. I stared at my filthy, trembling fingers, curled around a rusted immolator. Beside it, a discarded flam plate, its plasma heart flickering. Watching the insanity, I remembered the head gunner's words from drunken nights in a long-gone past, a life wholly owned by war. Hell's already here, only now did I get it. We'd always belonged to it, no matter how faintly we hoped otherwise.